Hi, good morning.
Morning, Eunice.
Good morning, Roberta. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What's the weather like in Albany?
It's cold, but not too bad. We got some snow yesterday, but nothing, nothing too bad. More like ice, like an inch of ice over the snow that we got. And the kids are on break this week, so no snow day or potential snow day.
Wait a second. Maybe that's good for you because it works out in the same week.
Absolutely. Always good for me. Not so great for the
I'm beyond
kids.
that stage.
Yep.
I'm just happy when it doesn't snow. It looks so beautiful when it first comes down, but I'm the one that gets to shovel it and I just don't want to.
I understand completely. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Same here. I think you should have a pretty good turnout for this meeting.
I'm excited. It's a good way to spend a Friday.
I know. I didn't tell you to put this on the agenda, but I do want to make a plug for nominations that are due for the President's Pro Bono Service Awards. And then also I'm soliciting articles for the Pro Bono newsletter. Okay.
Yep.
Was that your plug or you're going to do more of a plug?
That'll be my initial plug, and then it'll be another plug at whenever Kelly thinks it's a good time for me to do my little plug.
Let me ask you, what type of articles are you looking for? Are you looking for articles about specific volunteers, or what type of articles are you looking for?
We usually get articles on some kind of programs that could be, being held at your organization. Volunteer attorneys, absolutely, that's fine. They usually are, I don't know, anywhere from 500 to 1,000, 1,500 words. Yeah, we haven't been, I have to be honest, like the last 2 years, we haven't been getting a ton of submissions. And prior to that, I used to get like 17 articles that would come in, and you'd be like, well, I don't know, we might have to hold back on some of these because, that's a lot for just a newsletter. But lately I'm like, it's like pulling teeth. So, maybe I think a lot of it might have had to do with COVID, but I'm not sure. So anything you can send, I will gladly take and print.
Good morning, everybody. We're just going to wait a minute or two more to make sure everybody can connect.
So now I have to get on it. So I have Captain Obvious every book. Captain Obvious. Literally everything that comes up.
Kelly, we have 37 participants so far, looking pretty good. So whenever you want, you can probably start, and just want to give, a reminder to mute yourself if you're not speaking, so that there's no feedback or any unintentional background noise, okay?
All right, thank you. And don't go away, Eunice, because I'll have you do your announcements.
Okay, I'm not going anywhere.
Don't run away. So I just want to say good morning, welcome to everybody. Happy Friday. It's been a chilly week, but we made it. So I'm Kelly McGovern. I am the Director of Pro Bono at Law New York, Legal Assistance of Western New York. We cover some territory in upstate in Western New York. What I'd like to do is just talk a little quickly about what I think the goals are for the meeting. Also have Eunice has an announcement to make as well. But I think I want to start with everybody just doing quick introductions. So just who you are and where you're from. So I will go down my list and just sort of call people out if you just want to introduce yourself. So Eunice, you're first on my list.
Okay, I'm Eunice Banky. I am with the New York State Bar Association. I am the Public Interest Program Manager, and I have been a part of this committee since 2016. And my announcements are that we are soliciting articles for the Pro Bono newsletter, and those articles are due by March 1st. It's a soft deadline though, so if you think you are able to write something and send it in, but you need a little more time, please feel free to just send me an email requesting that. And then the other thing is we are soliciting nominations for the President's Pro Bono Service Awards, and those are due March 6th. I could put in the chat the link to the nomination form, and it's always great to get, a lot of nominations in, so that allows the committee members who choose them a wide variety to choose from. Okay, and that is my plug.
I can't believe it's almost March. Okay.
I know.
All right. The next person on my list is Adam. Do you want to introduce yourself and where you're from?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just got here. It's Adam Martin from Volunteer Lawyers Project. I'm a law fellow.
Nice to meet you. Aditi?
I am Aditi Aliswara, and Pro Bono Counsel at TLA Piper.
Great. Amy?
I'm Amy Wokas. I'm the brand new Pro Bono Coordinating Attorney for Legal Services of the Hudson Valley and a recent transplant from Wisconsin.
Let's see. Andrea? Andrea? Okay.
I think she's on the train. I'm guessing.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you. Let's see, Anne.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anne O'Grady. I am the Pro Bono Director at Access Justice Brooklyn. We changed our name in June. We used to be called the Brooklyn Bar Association Volunteer Lawyers Project.
Great, thank you. Arlene.
Kelly.
Yes.
Sorry, it's Andrea. Hi.
Yes,
I don't know.
hi.
Did you just call Eileen too?
Well, you're right. I thought maybe someone said you might not be able
Yeah,
to.
no, I'm actually here. I just couldn't find my
That's
unmute
okay.
button for
That's okay.
a reason, for some reason today. But anyway, Andrea Putnam, Pro Bono Coordinating Attorney at Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. And I think you just called Eileen as well, who's same position, same as Amy as well.
Sorry, I thought I
about
heard
that.
Arlene.
Oh, maybe it was Arlene. You're right. Bad audio.
I'll
right.
introduce while I'm here. Hi, Eileen. I'm Eileen. I'm from Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. Also, I'm a pro bono coordinating attorney with Andrea and Amy.
Hi, thank you. So let's try Arlene again.
Good morning. I am Arlene Sanders. I'm manager in the Binghamton office of Legal Aid Society of Mid New York and the director of our pro bono programs.
Thank you. Ava?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ava Goncalves from Brooklyn Defender Services. I'm a pro bono project assistant here.
Great, thank you. Beth?
Hi, good morning. My name is Beth Hoffmeister. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the new supervising attorney at Legal Aid's pro bono practice. I took over for Karen Gaffile, although I guess I'm not that new anymore. It was over the summer, but newish. Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Brian?
Morning. My name is Brian Garrett. I am the Upstate AP Coordinator with Law and Y. It's nice to meet you all. I'll also be making a presentation, so you'll learn a little bit more about me. Good to meet you.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Carolyn?
Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn from Nassau Suffolk Law Services. I'm the Suffolk part, and my colleague, I'm not gonna give out who she is, but she's new. I've been here for a couple of years now, and it's great to see everybody.
Thank you. Cassandra?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Cassandra Celestin. I'm the Director of Pro Bono Initiatives at the City Bar Justice Center. Happy to be here.
Great, thank you. And remember, if you're not speaking, please mute. All right. Christine?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Fecco. I'm the General Counsel at the New York State Iola Fund, and I just want to give a shout out to Cassandra for I think it was Cassandra, right? Hopping on the phone to talk with my counterpart in Puerto Rico about trying to identify some help for hurricane victims, both at the individual level and systemic level.
Great. Christopher?
Hi, everyone. Christopher Oldie. My pronouns are he, him. Today is my last day as pro bono director at Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. As of March 1st, I will be the executive director of South Coastal County's Legal Services, but very happy to spend my last day with all of you wonderful pro bono people. Keep doing the good work, and I'll try and keep popping in as much as I can, even though I'll be in Massachusetts, because this is a great group of individuals to think with and be with and advocate with. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. You'll be missed. All right, so Deborah?
Good morning, everyone. I'm the pro bono coordinator at Weil, Gottschall and Manges in New York City. Thank you.
Thank you. Erin?
Good morning. I'm Erin Meyer, a pro bono counsel with Cooley LLP in New York City.
Great, thank you. Grace?
Yes, I'm Grace Zaman. I am the supervising attorney for the Pro Bono Immigration Program at VLP of Central New York.
Thank you. We'll be hearing from Grace later. Eileen?
Hi, Eileen from Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. I'm the pro bono coordinating attorney.
Sorry, I forgot that you already went. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. First, people who missed it the first time.
Okay. And someone, it just says iPhone, but it might be somebody who's already gone.
I think that's me. Hi, it's Peter Van Tol. I'm the pro bono coordinator in the New York office of Hogan Levels. Hello, everyone.
Morning. Jason.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason Hogue. I'm the supervising reentry attorney for Legal Assistance of Western New York's Reentry Project.
We'll be hearing from him later. Thanks, Jason. Jessica?
Jessica Malone, she, her. I am a paralegal pro bono coordinator with Law New York.
Okay. Okay. Karen? Karen?
Hello, my name is Karen Anderson Ponzer. I'm the director of the Neighbors Link Community Law Practice. And it's really my colleague, Elizabeth Mastropolo, who leads our pro bono partnership efforts. But she's unable to be here today because she's in family court. So I'm here in her stead. It's nice to see you all.
Morning. Let's see, Kayla.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Kayla Atkins. I work with the Pro Bono team out of the Rochester, New York office.
Okay. Thank you. Lauren?
Hi, everybody. I'm Laren Spirer. I am the Program and Strategy Director for Lawyers Alliance for New York, and I oversee the Pro Bono program, among other things.
Thank you. Laura?
Hi, this is Laura Sinrod. I'm the new Pro Bono counsel at Fried Frank. I'm working in the New York office, and I'm also going to be running the non-immigration Pro Bono docket in our DC office.
Excellent. Thank you. Louise? Did we lose you, Louise?
Luz Marina?
Oh, you're next.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead, Luz.
All right. I'm Luz Marina. I'm with the Pro Bono coordinator with the Volunteer Lawyers Project of Central New York Housing and Eviction Program.
Thank you. All right. Marianne?
Okay, sorry.
Oh, Louise, you're here?
Hi. Yeah, sorry. I'm on a train to New York City. So I'm Louise Spinelli. I'm the pro bono manager for Just Cause in Monroe County.
Thank you. Safe travels. All right. Marianne?
Morning, everyone. Marianne Joyner. I'm the pro bono director for the Rule Law Center of New York.
Morning. Nancy?
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Nancy Tsai, and I am the pro bono coordinator with NYLAG, New York Legal Assistance Group.
Morning. Okay. Natalie?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natalie Stack, she, her. I'm the director of pro bono programs at the Pace Women's Justice Center in White Plains, Westchester County.
Great. Thank you. Pauline?
Good morning. I'm the pro bono coordinator for the Small Business Development Program at VLP of CNY.
Great. Thanks, Pauline. Mitch, I think you just joined.
Hi, I'm Mitch Katz. I'm pro bono partner at Barclay Damon.
Thank you. Peter?
Hi, I'm Peter Kettner. I am the legal director at Volunteers of Legal Service. Like Laren said, I oversee the pro bono practice along with other things as well.
All right, thank you. Peter? Peter? The other Peter? Okay. Risa?
Hi, my name is Risa, and I'm glad to be here. This is my first meeting, and I work with Carolyn and Roberta in the Nassau Suffolk Law Services Hempstead office. Susan Biller recently retired, and I'm handling her initiatives, but glad to see there's such a big community doing this work.
Great, nice to meet you. Rich?
Hey, Kelly. Hi, everyone. Rich Grumiger, Counsel and Director of Pro Bono at DLA Piper. I'm based out of the New York office.
All right. Roberta?
Good morning, Roberta Skoll. I'm with Nassau Suffolk Law Services, and I coordinate the Landlord-Tenant Attorney of the Day Pro Bono program in District Court in Nassau County.
Great, thank you. Samantha? Looks like Samantha might be having some tech issues, but
My name is Samantha London. I work with.
Yep, I think we lost Samantha, but she's with Law New York. And I think we've skipped Pat. I'm gonna go ahead, Pat.
Sure. Hey, everyone. This is Pat Malone. I am the legal director at Pro Bono Net, and I'm covering for my colleague Jeannie Ortiz.
Okay, thank you. Sal?
Good morning, everybody. Sal Curran. I use they and she pronouns. I'm the executive director of the Volunteer Lawyers Project of Central New York. Thank you so much, Kelly, for organizing this meeting. You're amazing. Just keeping it going. And also shout out to all of my CMY folks here. I'm really excited that so many of us have shown up. So good to see everybody.
Thanks. So you're always welcome to, join us, everything. All right, Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Friends. I'm with Law New York Geneva office, and I work to connect the local office with the regional pro bono services.
Thank you. Good morning. Teresa.
Hello, Teresa McNamara. I'm the attorney pro bono coordinator for Law New York. So I work with Kelly, Jessica, Samantha, Kayla, Lexi, Brian. Good morning, everybody.
All right, Tom.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Maligno, recently retired from Toro Law School after a 40-year career in legal services at Law Services and the law school. I'm proud to say that I was one of the co-founders of this group 40 years ago in the 1980s. And so it's gratifying to see how it's still strong, vibrant, and diverse.
Thanks, Tom. Yunmi.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yunmi Cho. I'm the pro bono manager at Weil Gotchell and Manges. Hi.
Hey. All right. So I may have, if I've skipped you, feel free to introduce yourself now. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So thanks, everybody, for introducing yourself. Appreciate it. I just wanted to just quickly sort of sketch out what the goals are for this meeting. We just want to learn more about the variety of pro bono programs across the state. We're going to highlight 3 of those programs today. We also want to be more familiar with all the people who are working in pro bono service and share best practices. As we help our clients access justice. We will do some breakout groups a little bit later on. So the first presentation we have is from Brian Garrett. He's part of the Attorney Emeritus program. I don't know if we can give him hosting ability or sharing ability. Are you able to share your screen, Brian?
No, actually, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So feel free to take it away, Brian.
Understood. Thank you, Kelly. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
We can see it, Brian.
Wonderful. Also, apologies for my camera being off. I just want to make sure there aren't any connectivity issues. So yes, we shall proceed. First, I'd like to thank you all for coming and being a part of this space as we are gearing to, continue providing civil legal services for our people in need. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing the space with me. Heading right into it, giving an agenda overview, I'll just be discussing the history and mission, my role as a coordinator, eligibility and benefits for host organizations and volunteers, and also resources for you to join us. So created in 2010, former Chief Judge Jonathan Littman created the AP to help low-income New Yorkers who can't afford counsel with their unmet civil legal services. And this is what the AP has geared, and it's not only in its mission, but in its day-to-day practice. We try to, continue to fortify that that goal, that mission that Chief Judge Jonathan Littman saw. We seek to engage our AP seasoned attorneys and pro bono projects with the support of civil legal service providers. So those are civil legal organizations. Our mission is to improve access to quality legal representation for New Yorkers in need by encouraging senior lawyers to contribute their extensive skills and expertise to civil pro bono legal work. Moving on. Yes, and here's my role as upstate coordinator. I help facilitate the program. I help place volunteers within civil legal service providers, and this work is given to me through AmeriCorps by through AmeriCorps, and I do that work through Law and Y in partnership with the Phoenix Center, housed at Fordham Law. It's been great. I've been here since August, and during the interview process, Kelly asked me, why you? Why is this position? Why should I hire you? I told her it was just more so my lived experience. I'm from the Bronx. I live in the Bronx. I work remotely with Law and Y, and I see the day-to-day civil unrest of the community, and partnering with a nonprofit law firm like Law and Y, it just was seamless for me. I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and I'm thankful for Kelly bringing me on board. Eligibility and benefits. So there are a couple of eligibility requirements for volunteers, which include an age requirement of at least 55 years or older, legal status. You must have practiced for at least 10 years and be in good legal standing, also licensed to practice in the state of New York. A pro bono commitment, you have to commit to 60 biennial hours of pro bono service. Also, host organization participants must work with an AAP approved civil legal service provider or court sponsored pro bono program. For example, Law and Y. Some benefits for our volunteers. Benefits include New York State Bar registration fees and CLE requirements are waived for retirees. It's a distinction there. They're able to earn up to 15 CLE credits and can be earned through host agency. If you're active, their malpractice insurance is covered. Community and network building, that's been a big one as of late. We've been really trying to delve into really bringing people together, especially with this virtual world that we've kind of entered. We also like to recognize our volunteers, through certifications, giving them certificates, letting them know how much we appreciate their the great work in which they do, because they are kind of bridging the gap for civil unrest. Also, there's volunteer award nominations, such as the Jonathan Littman Award, named after Chief Judge Jonathan Littman, and also the President's Pro Bono Award, but I'm sure many of you know that. Some host organization requirements. Host organizations must submit an application, provide legal malpractice insurance, supervise volunteers, provide volunteer position description, also collect basic data, assignment / project overview, and conduct periodic evaluations. This is just, to kind of keep the host org engaged with the AP as well as with the volunteer. How is the volunteer doing? Are they interacting within the organization and with the project? I know this slide is a little bit beefy with the information. I'll spare you so much of the details. I'll try to just hit on some of our bullets here. Some of the benefits include expanding organizational capacity. So the AP assists with legal services providers utilize seasoned attorneys to expand their capacity to serve clients. What does that mean? So our attorneys are experienced. They have a wealth of knowledge and expertise that they can use to help build the capacity at that host or at that host site. Mentors, AP volunteers, again, bring with them a wealth of knowledge and expertise that they can use to, again, bridge that gap, lend a hand to younger attorneys or to other volunteers as well. Supervision. This comes in short because, again, AP volunteers are seasoned. They have been through the rigor. So they kind of understand the legal field and what they're walking into, and they may not have to be supervised as a younger attorney or another staff member. Commitment. Again, AP volunteers commit to 60 pro bono hours over a 2-year period. So, the commitment is there, and the reason why they signed up is because they want to do the work. They see the value in giving back and also building community with what's going on in the climate, in the social climate that we have now, and also expertise. So again, these are seasoned attorneys. They bring with them a wealth of knowledge and expertise, and also with that comes a broad range of practice areas that they can assert themselves into. Here's just some program successes from our last reporting period. During our last data collection for our upstate demographic, we managed 43 volunteers and added 5 new volunteers to the program for roughly 2,000 hours. And that was just one of our years. So, and that was from our upstate demographics. We also have downstate as well. So, this is a statewide thing. The AP is really trying to, again, bridge the gap for the civil unrest that is kind of going on in our social climate now. I'm thankful to be a part of that change. And the cost of pro bono services was $1 million plus, and that came in part from our volunteers and also the work that our host organizations do, again, to bridge that gap and really bring our volunteers on board as well and help them kind of learn the lay of the land. So yes, great performance metrics here. And yes, if you've kind of stayed with me into this portion, that means that you've made it to the end. So again, I thank you. These are some resources that you can use. I'll also be dropping some of this information in the chat as well. If you if you're not near a pen or don't have your phone to take a picture, I'll be dropping some of this information in the chat. Here's our resource page. Thanks again for having me, and go pro bono. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Brian. Great job. Did anyone have any questions about the Attorney Emeritus program, the statewide program? Okay. And Brian, you said if someone wants to become a host organization, they can reach out to you, or can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. I'll be dropping my contact in the chat, so just be ready. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, thanks. All right. Any questions? Okay. All right, well, thank you. So we do have a question in the chat from Nancy. Brian, how do you recruit your volunteers?
Yes, we do this in a myriad of ways. We try to utilize bar associations, law schools, for volunteers, not necessarily for attorney volunteers, but just to bring them on as well to the pro bono program, and also alumni networks. So those are just a few of the ways in which we try to tackle recruitment for our volunteers.
Great, thank you.
Kelly, this is Christine. Can I just jump in with a question?
Oh, sure, of course, yes.
Kind of reminder, the AEP volunteers who end up working with IOLA grantees, I know that there's a few people who are new in their role. One of the things that we've noticed when we get the reporting in from our grantees is that the person submitting the annual report will not necessarily be familiar with the AEP program. And so we've had cases where a grantee is, an organization is involved in the AEP program, but then they check the box that says that they're not a host organization when they submit to us. And also, the number, we also ask for the number of AEP volunteers who are working with a particular IOLA grantee. And that, that data seems questionable to us sometimes. And I want to be just, transparent with the community, which is one thing that we at IOLA try to do, that we take the data that comes to us in our annual report from our grantees, and then we put together some information from that and share that back with the AEP Council. So it's just important for folks, you folks who are doing the work with the AEP volunteers in your programs to make sure that you're talking to the people who are maybe doing your reports to IOLA, because we do things with the data is what I'm trying to say. And, at those AEP Council meetings with a lot of high level judges and, a lot of high level people, there's this disconnect between what I think is actually happening and the data that we're getting. And some of you are in on those meetings and you know what I'm talking about. But I thought it was maybe an opportunity to make a plug.
Great, thank you. No, that's important. I mean, reporting is key to so many things. So thank you, Christine. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, thank you, Brian. So we wanted to move next to have Grace Zayman present. I know she was having a bit of tech trouble, so I just want to make sure. Are you all set, Grace?
I'm stable for the time being.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for having me, and thank you, Brian. That was a great presentation. I am going to talk about our recently launched Upstate Pro Bono Immigration Initiative at the Volunteer Lawyers Project of Central New York. Our program is, I think, unique. I'm really excited about it in that we focus really heavily on training and technical assistance to our volunteers in hopes of really cultivating a lasting relationship with volunteers that are going to return and continue to take cases. So a little bit about the project. We are funded through the Office for New Americans, and we have several collaborating agencies across the state. There is a regional divide. However, we can take cases from across New York State. So it's really nice in that if someone's unable to take a case or place a case, we can screen any case within New York State for placement with a pro bono volunteer. We also similarly have case priorities, but we're not limited in the types of cases, immigration cases that we take. So, for example, we're focusing really heavily on providing pro bono assistance to victims of trafficking, victims of domestic and intimate partner violence, victims of violent crime. But what we're seeing also is just an ongoing demand for representation for people who are in removal proceedings, so people who are facing deportation right now. The way that we are attempting to obtain and recruit volunteers is through ongoing training. And so we've been putting out a number of CLEs. We're going to focus on that and making sure that everybody comes into the program with a bit of a solid foundation, right? So we focus on cultural competence. We focus on working with interpreters and on best practices for working with people who have experienced trauma. Those are all incredibly important, I think, in all of our practice areas, right? But particularly in immigration law. And so we do talk to volunteers about that initially. We try to pair volunteers with cases that meet them in their experience level and in their interest area. I think because we have no shortage of cases, so far we've been able to do that pretty well. And then the really great part of our program is that my role and our director of immigration, Sarah McDowell's role, is to support our pro bono volunteers as they take cases. So it's ongoing technical assistance, it's ongoing access to office space, to technical equipment, to any kind of resources that a pro bono volunteer needs to be successful in their case. We want to provide that so that their focus is simply on representing the non-citizen in their case. To that end, we are reviewing briefs. We are reviewing any submissions before they go out. We are having case strategy meetings. We have weekly office hours by Zoom where pro bono attorneys can just jump on and ask whatever questions have come up in their cases during that time period. And we found that to be really successful so far. Some of the challenges that we're facing, and I think some of this was expected, is just the overwhelming demand for services versus our ability to find enough attorneys and get them up to speed quickly enough to jump into those cases. And so we launched this program on November 1, and we're immediately met with a demand of people who needed representation. This grant is limited to full representation only. So those ways that attorneys can jump in and make a difference with limited scope representation is unfortunately not anticipated within this particular grant. So that's one of the challenges that we're attempting to navigate right now. It's really that full representation commitment or nothing at this point. We have found a really wonderful group of volunteer attorneys so far, and we're looking to expand that. And as I said, the way that we're looking to expand that is through in-person networking and just a lot of training so that people can understand the demand that we're seeing for removal proceedings, for victim-based services, for humanitarian benefits and relief, a lot of asylum cases right now. We provide a full resource library to our volunteer attorneys. So before somebody even is matched with a case, they have the ability to go in and watch trainings that we've pre-recorded, to research and read through best practices and training manuals. Prior to matching someone, we'll send them kind of a best practices guide for working with clients who've experienced trauma, just to kind of set those expectations really clearly at the beginning. We are also looking for attorneys who can provide services that are related to, but not directly in an immigration capacity. So I think the greatest need that we see at this point is people who can represent unaccompanied minors or adolescents in family court and surrogate court proceedings. Generally, those are guardianship proceedings in New York State. And once somebody has a specific order granting guardianship, they're eligible for something called special immigrant juvenile status. But we're just having a really difficult time kind of bridging that gap between the family court world and the immigration world. And so we're trying to reach out to people who might have some of that expertise and talk about what representation is available and what it looks like on the immigration side of it. So that's a little bit about our project and what we're able to offer and the challenges that we're facing. Like I said before, it's a really collaborative process. So we are right now working with the Erie County Bar Association Volunteer Lawyers Project. So we have 2 VLPs on the project right now, which is really exciting. And they cover the Buffalo and Western New York region. And that's really great because they can cover the Buffalo Immigration Court. And those cases that are coming in regularly in that sense. We also have Just Cause and Legal Aid Society of Rochester on the grant in the Finger Lakes region. And so they're able to screen cases that come in through the Finger Lakes and match them with a pro bono volunteer attorney. And so we really have a wonderful group of agencies collaborating on this process, and kind of everybody has their regional areas, but also their case specialties. So like I said before, ECBA is really well poised to handle Buffalo immigration court cases and removal defense cases. And we can share that expertise and that technical assistance as we move forward on the grant. And I think so far it's been a remarkably collaborative process. We are meeting as a team and we're talking about priorities under the grant. We're talking about kind of our vision for the future, and what that looks like at this point is just having a really solid group of pro bono volunteer attorneys who are skilled and supported enough that they can move forward with these full representation immigration cases.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have, I guess my question would be, if other organizations on this call might want to expand into immigration, do you have any sort of thoughts about that, I guess?
I have lots of thoughts about that. I do think in terms of immigration pro bono work specifically, that technical expertise is really, really key. As any of you who have worked in immigration law know, the law is changing pretty frequently. I have to, check myself regularly before I advise somebody on the law, just because cases literally come out every week that could change our understanding of the way that the law has been. And so I would say make sure that you have somebody who's really experienced and really skilled and really accessible to pro bonos. It is a difficult area because there is an incredible amount of demand and things can go so badly so quickly if someone doesn't have that ongoing support throughout the case.
Thanks.
Let me chime in too that I know it can feel overwhelming for agencies to try to recruit a skilled immigration attorney to do this work, because not all of our areas of the state have that phenomenal experience that Grace has and that Sarah has in our program. And so what I will say is that part of how we've been able to be successful with recruiting somebody as amazing as Grace has been through being willing to do remote work, hybrid work. We do a lot of our coaching of pro bono volunteers through Zoom drop-in hours. So we're able to attract volunteers from a wider region, and Grace can help support people everywhere. So I do think that this is an area of law that really lends itself well to the lessons that we learned during COVID about remote work and facilitating, partnerships. So like a lot of the resources we have on a SharePoint site that all of our volunteers have access to that is unique. And then we have our grant shared documents on a different SharePoint site that only the partner agencies have access to. So, this is a very tech-friendly kind of area of work. And I just wanted to shout that out because we never would have been able to get somebody as amazing as Grace if we didn't have that capacity set up. So.
It really helps to have a Sal who's very tech driven. It makes this a very tech centered. The fact that we can work really seamlessly and completely remotely, I think is really incredible.
Christine, go ahead.
Hey, I'm just wondering, one thing I'm remembering, and forgive me if you mentioned it and I missed it because I was spacing out. But one thing I'm remembering from a few years ago is probably pre-pandemic, is that Catholic Charities was developing a website for recruitment and of pro bono in immigration, and also as a platform for them to do work on immigration cases. And I'm just wondering if they're connected at all with this effort. And feel free to tell me that there's, a complicated story you'd rather not talk about in public, and that's okay. I'm just curious. And frankly, I'm trying to catch up on the gossip because I feel a little out of the loop on what's happening because of the absence of conferences and things.
Yeah, and I might go back to Sal on this too, because that really predates my knowledge of the pro bono world, where I, up until this project, was very much immersed in direct representation. But my understanding of the Catholic Charities Project was it was really a pilot initiative, which got us started to where we are right now.
Yeah, my understanding, Christine, is that Catholic Charities in New York City has, or whatever the title is, forgive me, I don't mean to offend anybody, it still has the grant in New York City to do this. So when ONA created this funding, they did a downstate upstate thing, and they still have the downstate grant. And I believe that that's correct what Grace said, that they had a pilot program, and once that kind of demonstrated the efficacy of this kind of pro bono work, then they expand the funding to upstate. We are building out our own kind of system because we're 4 different agencies working on this together, which we decided to do because it's just such a huge geographic area, and we each have our relationships in the community with our own pro bono volunteers. But we are in communication with them some. It's just this grant really only started in November. So
yeah. Well, and I think that the Catholic Charities, Catholic Charities was, they cover Lower Hudson Valley as well, and they work with a lot of small community-based organizations and do immigration work. But my understanding is that they were trying to build pro bono capacity outside of New York City, and that frankly, I think the money kind of dropped out of the sky, perhaps from the governor's office, I think one of the former governors. And it was meant to be a statewide website. But like I said, I may not be up to date on everything, but that was when I last heard about it. So it sounds like you're talking to them, but and maybe part of that effort led to this funding through a more organized channel of ONA, which is
that's my understanding, but I actually don't know the background gossip on it.
Okay, fair enough.
And Grace, it looks like Pat wrote some stuff in the chat about getting some outreach going and adding training to calendars and stuff.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Pat, did you just want to quickly say where you're from, as far as like how, I know, you've already said where you're from originally. I can't talk today. Did you want to talk at all about what you put in the chat?
Yeah, sure. I'm new in my role focusing on New York State civil justice, but my background is many, many years in nonprofit immigration work. So within the Pro Bono Net organization, we have a project known as Immigration Advocates Network, which has resources for volunteers and for nonprofit practitioners. But also, sorry. Also, we wrote a screening interview, and the intended audience is the public, so it's in plain language, and it has many questions. It's a so-called SMART interview, so not everybody sees every question. It depends on whether they indicate, for example, any fear or bad things that happened in their life. And that can be helpful for triage purposes and also for community education. And I can imagine that some pro bonos getting started could use it as a guide. We did a survey on it, and lawyers liked all the questions. We worked with Immigrant Legal Resource Center to create them, but lawyers also want to do their own intake interviews. So that part is kind of how we are as lawyers, right? But it might be a helpful tool. Thanks.
No, I think that's wonderful. And that's something I'm trying to catch myself on, is I'm so entrenched in the way that I do an intake, and it's so not helpful to anyone who's going to pick up a case after me, that I really have to be mindful of the purpose of the screening. So thank you. That's really great.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Grace? Well, we really appreciate you being here today, Grace. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
All right, so Jason, are you ready to step into the ring?
Sure. Hi.
Hi,
everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm Jason Hogue. I'm the supervising attorney for Law New York's Reentry Project. And in terms of reentry, if you're not familiar with it, we assist people who are justice involved, or individuals with criminal records, in terms of either a conviction record or some type of arrest record. And we've been doing this project in Rochester, New York for about 15 years now. I actually started the project in 2006 and ran to about 2011, and then I left. And just returned in January of 2022. So I've been there for now about, going on about a year and something back. But so the base model, what we do is we help people get their own official criminal records, their FBI records or their New York State criminal records, and then we help them understand their record and then correct any errors. And what we look for is, you know, what relief they might be eligible for, and those are things like certificates of rehabilitation and sealing, which I'll talk about more in terms of actually since 2017, you can seal your criminal records, certain individuals. And those are really kind of our base model of services, what we do. And then also we represent, and when I try to spend more of my time is like try to practice at the top end of my license, as my managing attorney in Ithaca says, which is, so we try to do most of the work in representing people in front of state agencies where they're being denied employment based on their criminal record. This is like Department of Health, Office of School Responsibility, any type of professional licensing or vulnerable populations, think schools, medical facilities, nursing homes. And then we also enforce New York State's human rights law that prohibits discrimination based on criminal records, because that's absolutely rampant. And so we sue large employers, and we're actually suing a number of large employers and state institutions based on discrimination against people with criminal records. But so 15 years ago, when we started this project, what we kind of identified is that we really, as a law office, we lack the credibility in the community to work with people, justice-involved individuals. And so what we did is we identified a community-based organization that actually already worked with people with criminal records, and this was called the Judicial Process Commission. And they had gone back 50 years since the Attica riots, been working with people who were coming home from prison. So they had all the credibility. Most of the staff is actually volunteer and justice involved themselves. And so what we did is we started training them to do our base model services, which is we trained them actually how to fingerprint people. So we actually fingerprint people in-house, and we do that so we can avoid any fees that the state would try to charge us to get people's access to their own criminal records, which is obscene that the state charges people for their own criminal records, which is used against them. But so we avoid all those costs. And how we did that is we trained this community-based organization to do the fingerprinting themselves. And we also trained them to review people's records. And then we trained them how to correct those records. And then we trained them how to do certificates of relief from disability. So they were doing that themselves, and then they completely took it over, so that since the last 15 years, they do that completely. And then they refer us cases of individuals who need sealing their record, because that's a motion and really not really, it's better done, you know, it's meant to be pro se, but it's clearly better when you have an attorney involved. And so they refer us sealing cases, and they refer us discrimination cases and state agency denials. And so we've been doing that really with great success, you know, for a number of years. And in about halfway through 2022, the Ithaca Office of Law in New York came to us and asked us to take over the reentry program that was being ran out of Ithaca. It's pretty new, about a year or 2 years. And so we absorbed it into the Rochester project. And one of the first things we did is that we looked for an organization that was, again, a not-for-profit, community-based organization, not lawyers, and worked in the criminal justice and reentry field. And we found that organization called OAR, or the Opportunity Access Resource, and again, 50-year-old organization, mainly staffed by justice-involved individuals. And so we started training them, and one of the things we identified is that we would need a fingerprinting machine, which is like a machine that you fingerprint people on. And so there was a project already existing through Law New York's Ithaca office that was connected with Cornell University in the ILR, which is the Industrial Labor Relations, something like that. And so they already had a project, so we went to them and said, would you be interested in getting involved in this? And one of the things we'd like to do is we'd like to take Cornell's money and buy a fingerprinting machine. And what we'll do is we'll have students man the fingerprint machine. We can teach them to do that, and they can work with this community-based organization. And so we did that and started doing that. And what we did then is we created training modules, which we used both, again, AmeriCorps staff. So these were people who were not lawyers, graduates doing an AmeriCorps program, and teamed them with the ILR students, and then basically, you know, gave them all the materials that we've been using for the last 15 years to train people, our own staff and individuals, to do this, and they created training modules. And then we were contacted by Cornell Law School, which had a program, and they were interested in seeing what we were doing, and said, would you like to put some of our students through the training program so they could maybe assist with some of the ceiling cases? Because we identified ceiling cases. We have basically kind of almost like a very cookie cutter process now, where we have all the motions, we have all the training, and basically we can put somebody through the training program, and then they can basically turn out these ceiling motions. And so we said that'd be a great idea. Let's do that. And so we opened it up to Cornell law student. We were expecting maybe a handful of students be interested in this and the training models. And so we had roughly 40 students sign up for this program. And since then, we have put those 40 students into 15 teams. They're manned about 2 to 3 a student. And we put them through the training program, which is about a 1.5 week training program that's done all through recording programs. And we have more volunteers manning that, and put them to the training program. And so in 2022, when I came back into this program in Rochester, we did 25 of these ceiling cases. If you go to DCGS statistics, where they keep for each county the ceilings, in 2021, before we came back onto the scene in 2022, Monroe County in total had done 35. So in 2022, we will have doubled that number. And if you look at the ceiling statistics throughout the state of New York under the ceiling, less than 1% of the 600,000 people who are eligible in New York State have applied for this, because you have to do it on motion. And so just in Monroe County, we were able to, without this project, we did 25 of those in a year. This year, 2023, it's what, February, we've done 10 with those students. So we are going to quadruple those numbers. We will, basically mushroom in terms of what I suspect in 2023. But I think in 2022, the numbers from statistics will be, there was like 35 of these ceilings in 2021. There'll be something like 50 in 2022, and we'll probably crank that up to 100. And that's what I'm seriously thinking. We can quadruple the numbers here in the course of 2 years of people getting this relief. And statistics have showed, Harvard Law did a study 2 years ago when Michigan passed an expungement law. There's an immediate 25% increase in people's earnings once their criminal record is removed. And so we're giving people a whole new start on their life without a criminal record, which will cause them all kinds of barriers. And we are training students to, what I hope, go into a field of law, which is reentry, in terms of undoing all the harm that we've done over the 50 years of the criminal justice system, the war on drugs. And so what we're hoping here is this is a model to bring around the state, which is to work with legal service providers and law schools and pro bono programs to get to law students and pro bono lawyers involved in this program. And that's kind of where we're at. It's all very new, and things are changing all the time. And we're, obviously some of the things we learned, which is that we would definitely cap the number of students. It's way too many students. We definitely need a full-time attorney, probably managing more of like a practitioner residence clinic model at the Cornell Law School, to run it through a clinic program rather than just kind of a volunteer program. So we're learning lots of stuff as we're doing this, but we're also having amazing success. We've already closed a number, closing some of those cases that we've took in, within the last 2 months. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
I guess I would ask you the same question that I asked Grace. If somebody in this group wanted to start a reentry program, do you have any suggestions about how to do it, or sort of what the landscape is as far as reentry? Are people willing to volunteer to do reentry work, attorneys and students?
One thing, the need is massive, is huge. So if you're in downstate in New York City, there's a number of reentry programs. Bronx Defenders, an amazing program. Brooklyn's Defender Services, amazing program. MFY, I mean, there's just, it's just bristling with programs. If you go up to upstate New York, it really is Law New York, and it really is the Rochester office. So really one office does and Ithaca starting to do it, but I'm in the Ithaca office, so I'm 75% Rochester, 25% Ithaca. So Law New York has a program. Legal Services Central New York has a small program. They're really cool, really interesting model, but they're a backup. They're a really interesting backup center model to the criminal defense bar. I know Sally Curran at Volunteer Legal Services Project in Onondaga had a project that works with the Center for Communal Alternatives. We work very closely with the Center for Communal Alternatives. The problem at CCA is that they're not open to the public. They're purely grant stream. Buffalo Legal Aid Bureau has a reentry project. But that's really basically it. So those programs, and so you're talking about maybe 4 programs and not all of those open to the public, covering all of upstate New York. So the need is just massive. And certainly when you get into the rural counties, there's like nothing. And so, I mean, there's these little blips in upstate New York doing reentry and doing this work. And the need is huge, which is 1 in 4 Americans now has a criminal record. And I can tell you from what I see day in and day out, we see people being denied in the medical field, just all over the place. We're in the middle of a medical crisis, and people who have convictions that have nothing to do with their employment, are totally qualified to do these jobs, are being denied working in a medical field when we absolutely need these people terribly. You drive around any community, you see like signs up, please come and apply for a job as a bus driver. But what they're not saying is if you have a criminal record, they're going to disqualify you, even where those criminal records are not related whatsoever to those jobs. And so discrimination based on criminal record is absolutely rampant in the private and in terms of people trying to get professional licensing. And it just is a huge racial justice issue, which is almost 90% of my clients are African-American females. And so it just is, in terms of statistically, anybody can tell you too, people with criminal records is disproportionately people of color. So this is a racial justice issue, as well as, we are really hampering our ability to, fill jobs that need to be filled. And, but so the need is huge.
Any other comments or questions for Jason?
I'm seeing some questions. So amazing extension program. Do you need law firms? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The model that we're trying to build is to build, and it's very similar, interesting, the folks talk about the immigration model. We're looking at the very same model, which is a backup center, to do a backup center where we have quite a bit of expertise. We've been doing this about 15 years now in the Rochester office. And what we're trying to do is do a backup center through the Rochester office into our 14 counties, and then to try to populate our far-flung offices with these kind of pro bono student and hopefully pro bono attorney things. And we're trying to also, make those training materials so that they're both public facing and also use them for our own internal training. So, I mean, we have a lot of work to do, but I think there's just endless potential here. And also another thing we'd like to do is start getting people who are justice involved into our program and creating navigator positions where people who have returned home from prison, who have our credible messengers, and then train them to do these programs and then team them with law students to do this work. So you have a navigator who's an individual, who's a justice involved individual who has the credibility in the community, and then you have a law student who has the skills and the training, and then the cross-pollination that you would have through those type of programs is really something I'm really interested in pursuing.
Okay. I don't see anything in the general chat, but if you have anything else for Jason, just let us know. In the interest of time, though, thank you, Jason. I'm gonna pause here. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Thank you, Jason. I want to do a quick stretch break, just because we've been listening to folks. But during that stretch break, I'm hoping that maybe Eunice can help me put some folks, we're going to put everybody into breakout rooms. And I have a couple of questions just to sort of get you all started to talk with the other folks in your group. And then once, we are in those groups for 15, 20 minutes, we're going to bring everybody back in to basically share some of the ideas that we've learned, as well as updates from our organizations. So, that's sort of the next steps. So why don't we take maybe a little bit less than a 5-minute break? Everybody, if you could come back at, let's say 11:12. Hopefully we'll have everybody in the rooms by then. Is that possible, Eunice, do you think?
Sure, yeah, I'll just do it. Like we will assign it automatically and we will, let's see, we've got 34.
And I put in the chat, and I'm not sure if there's a way to do it. I just put it in, I just did it for everyone, but I'm not sure there's a way to do it once you're within the breakout room. So you may have to copy those questions, but those are sort of the general questions for folks.
Okay, so do you want me to create like 6 breakout rooms?
Sure, I think that sounds fine. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Yep, no problem.
And we'll see everybody at 11:12.
Yep.
Thanks. right, well, welcome back, everybody, and thanks, Eunice, for handling the breakout groups. So I just was wondering if we could take a couple of minutes to maybe report back anything interesting that we learned about some best practices from other organizations. And then in the last 10 to 15 minutes, I was hoping we could go around and just share any updates in general from our different organizations. So if we just wanted to start with any interesting things, best practices that that's been working well for other folks. Any groups, anybody can just jump in.
Jump in, Kelly.
Thanks, Jessica.
I think we're from room 4. It was 2 Lonnie York folks that met with 2 folks from Legal Services of the Hudson Valley. And I think as far as best practices go, we didn't really talk about best practices so much. But I think one thing that came out of the conversation is that remote clinics that are, a couple hours out of the day to provide assistance to clients is one of the best ways to get attorneys involved, especially attorneys who aren't comfortable with a certain subject matter or, appearing in court. So advice and counsel or legal clinics that can be done remotely seem to be a big success.
And I'll add to that because I was in Jessica's group. Jessica also was giving some ideas about running CLEs and where to advertise on websites, on social media, to bar associations. And I think that would be helpful to make sure that the office gets more face time with more offices, make sure that we can advertise different CLEs we're providing to get our faces out there more.
I was in the group as well, and Jessica was a wealth of information, and she also shared details about the medical legal partnership up there in the Finger Lakes region and how it may be duplicating, and I found that interesting. It's such a hot area. So thank you, Jessica.
And just to add in, it was actually a law student intern who ended up doing a pro bono scholarship, I believe, and then became a fellow that is helping to kind of duplicate and create this expansion of our medical legal partnership in that area. So, pro bono kind of fed into this to make it come to life. So our team is very proud of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Anybody else want to share? Maybe from group 1. Go with group 1. Anybody there want to share?
Kelly, I missed the number group that we were in, but I could jump in. I don't know. We were 3. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Go with 3.
Okay.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Thanks, Laura. We actually had a nice balance, 2 firm folks, 3 folks from LSOs, and 1 upstate, 1 Long Island, and I apologize for calling Hudson Valley upstate, and 1 from New York City. And we actually didn't get to best practices. We were just mainly talking about legal needs, and it was interesting to see kind of the different legal needs in the different regions, between balance between mats and immigration and housing. And I think a little bit of that speaks to kind of what resources are available as far as LSOs are in the different parts of New York. I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in from my group.
Well, thanks, Peter. Yeah. Let's see. Anybody maybe from group 4? We already do group 4? Group 4. Let's try them. Oh wait, Jessica, were you group 4? You were. Okay. Group 5. I'd love to hear from some non-legal service folks too.
Hey, Kelly, I could jump in for group 6.
Perfect. 6. Let's do it.
On the
Thank
law
you.
firm side, but I was in the room with Christopher, Nancy, and Luce, who are from the LSO side, and we talked mostly about legal needs. It seems like universal need for housing representation, both eviction defense as well as housing repairs and housing conditions. Like Jessica said, there was interest in remote clinics and how that works well to engage even lawyers from across the state in participating in pro bono, but that also there's need for in-person and certainly for full representation. Nancy shared from NILAG, an in-person clinic in Brooklyn that went really well the second go around. And the first go around was harder to get volunteers, but it was a reminder to us, try again. Just because you don't hit it at the right moment doesn't mean it won't be an area where volunteers are interested later. And I shared from the law firm side that fluctuation is up and down with billable work. Sometimes it's busy, sometimes it's not. And so even I sometimes have a flood of volunteers, and then other times I'm struggling to restaff things. So it could just be about the month of the year that it was, but certainly focus on need for housing and clinics as a gateway to pro bono, that sometimes you get someone to at least commit to a day and then they meet a client that they really like and they want to do full representation. And so it becomes more than what we expected, but that's always the happiest of circumstances when someone wants to do more than just that clinic.
No, that's really, thank you. Thanks, Erin. Appreciate that. What about Roberta? Do you have anything you want to share about the housing related stuff? Because we talked about that a little bit in our group as well.
Well, most of the time what we were talking about really were the utilization of the 50-hour students, and that on some programs and some of the organizations having a 50-hour student works, and in others it doesn't. For my particular program in court, it's been working. A downside, of course, on many of the programs, and anybody else in group 2 want to chime in, please do. Sooner have somebody trained when they're gone. So a lot of time and effort goes into teaching and sooner get them to where you would like them to be when they're gone. That's, if anybody else from that group would like to chime in, please do.
I think you summed it up, but Roberta, it was really nice to hear that she's found a way to help clients get more access to the work that her team is doing out in it's Nassau, right? Did I get that right, Roberta?
Yes, Nassau County,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, and that, it's a way that she's found a way to make it work, and it was nice to hear, because we really struggle with how to use 50-hour folks. It often is not possible for us on full rep cases, but that she's found a way to have them help. And part of that was also, you were talking about having them just come in the mornings on certain days, which is when she's the most busy in court, because she's in court pretty much every day. And that it's just something to think about, if there's a way to have someone who's assigned as a 50-hour person to come in the mornings on busy court days. And even if what they're doing is just ad hoc helping people here and there who maybe just need someone to sit with the client longer and go through a form with them or whatever, that there might be ways to leverage that we all haven't been as creative as thinking about. So
sometimes also when they just need some extra hours, they can't make it on a court date, of make work for them. Whether or not it's updating court lists, updating research on cases, giving them something to do that will also ultimately be beneficial to myself and my program.
Well, thanks. Is there anything any other groups wanted to share before we move to updates? I hope you got a chance to meet some new folks and chat. So hopefully we can do more of that in the future. Go ahead,
Louise, with Just Cause.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
We didn't get to social media, but I would say that I do think it's beneficial. We have some volunteers who have I've really put a lot of effort in the last year to posting more regularly, primarily highlighting our volunteers. And sometimes when they notify us to report their final hours and close a case, they ask if it would be possible they'd like to be featured in a post. So I do, and then there are probably a lot that aren't verbalizing it, but so if some are verbalizing it, that means others are also interested. So we get good feedback from it, but I would like to come up with more creative ideas instead of just posts, but it's only so much time in the day.
Is anybody out there making TikTok videos or anything to sell pro bono? No. Okay. All right. No, I think that's good. I think, being in constant contact with the world seems to be what folks are wanting, and that recognition. So I appreciate that, Louise. Carolyn, go ahead, Carolyn.
I just have a follow-up question for you, Louise. I do not do any social media, but of course, I do, recognize my great volunteers in other ways, but it's much more just, it's much harder. I write a whole article, we put it in the local bar paper. But I'm just wondering if you've ever got any negative feedback, because my concern is that there are some people that don't want that type of exposure. And I'm just wondering, but then I was thinking that those folks that probably don't want that exposure are probably not on social media, so they don't even know that the post was put out there. So I'm just wondering, has anyone ever said to you, oh, do not do that anymore, I don't want that?
Yeah, Carolyn, actually we had that issue. So you're speaking something that, so what we do actually is have everybody sign a social media release when they first sign up, so that if they don't sign it, then we don't put them online. But there may be other ideas. So
well, we are not doing that here in Suffolk, so that's an important practice point that I think we should probably start doing.
Yeah, we haven't had any negative feedback about it, but I do think I wrote down Kelly's idea. I'm going to incorporate that into new volunteers, that they have to check that box.
Kelly, if you feel like sharing that release, I'm sure I would really appreciate that actual language.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll send it out. It's not too fancy, but I will definitely send it your way. Okay. And just in the interest of time, because I know lunch is looming, and we want to finish on time, but I just want to go around. I know that so many folks are doing so many amazing things. I'm just hoping, let's do a free for all. Just jump in, talk about what your organization is doing. If you don't jump in, I'm just going to call on people, because I know y'all are doing some cool things, but just any updates that you think would be helpful for the group to know.
Well, I'll just say that someone had put it in the chat earlier that, Legal Services of the Hudson Valley is expanding our pro bono unit, which is great. Funding that we received from the agency specific to eviction prevention work was able to increase another pro bono coordinating attorney, which is Amy, and another paralegal is going to be starting next week. So obviously housing, but we have an existing virtual housing clinic, but we're really hoping with the increased personnel and funding to be able to go back to trying to find attorneys to directly represent clients, as well as other pro bono initiatives in connection to housing, but also adding 2 more people to my pro bono unit for the next 3 hours. Will engage us to do other projects. We continually talk about the needs of our clients and, oh, it would be great if we could do this, it would be great if we could do that. So I think that just by expanding the number of individuals working in pro bono will be able to allow us to have more heads working, more individuals being able to have their input. So I'm really excited to see what the unit will do in the future, and really happy that I'm leaving the team in such great shape.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Let's see. Who might have an update? Oh, Arlene. I was about to call on you, and you appeared. Go ahead.
I just want to jump in, just because this was something that came up in our breakout meeting, a question that I asked, but we really only had 30 seconds left, which was if anybody has been working on developing a limited scope retainer, particularly for the landlord tenant attorney of the day programs, because we've had a retainer that we've used, but now there's a new rule in the CPLR, and the section escapes me, discussing specifically limited scope representation and the need to submit the retainer with the court and inform them when such representation terminates. And I think the intent of it was just to make limited scope easier, but it also has more requirements, at least as it impacts our existing pro bono programs, than we really needed to take into account before. So I was wondering if any of the pro bono programs, especially with the attorney of the day type programs that are limited scope in nature, have developed or tweaked their retainers since the new provisions.
Arlene, no, I haven't, but thank you for bringing that to my attention, because we do have the limited scope retainer, but it has not been tweaked. And now I see it's necessary that I should look into that. So thank you.
Sure.
I don't have a helpful response to that. Sorry, Arlene, but maybe we could talk offline, because I also wanted to know, or if anybody else has input today as a follow-up to that, whether or not you're interpreting that new provision to mean that even attorneys who are just helping outside of court, never making an appearance, but just assisting with conversations with the client and maybe with opposing counsel prior to a court date, would be included in that new provision, needing to then inform the court that they're no longer assisting after a case has been resolved.
Yeah, and in our case, the attorneys are actually in court, so we, but only for that particular shift. So that's where the issue came up for us. And Pauline Smith, actually in our breakout group, had some feedback. So we're going to exchange some information, but you know, if anybody else does, I think it would probably help some of us that have these types of programs.
Peter, do you have any updates from your organization? I'm just calling on people now, just in case.
You know, it's just we're chugging along with many of the same things. You know, our small business practice and our micro enterprise project, our immigration project is super swamped with all of the new arrivals in New York, sadly. You know, our senior law project, we're you know, doing lots of life planning documents with many pro bono partners who are here today. I guess one update is with our unemployed workers project, we you know, have been very focused on unemployment insurance for the last few years, and obviously there's been a tremendous need, but that need has dropped because we have record low unemployment right now. You know, since I think 1969 was the last time it was this low, and so we're shifting that practice a little bit to think about other benefits as well. And so we're doing a little dabbling in the Social Security world, and you know, we're not a DAP funded organization, and you know, there's so many in New York that are meeting that need thanks to that funding. So instead, we're looking at the application side of things. We've actually, you know, saw in the community, in the pro bono community, that a lot of firms had interest in doing application work. A lot of that happened around ERAP during the pandemic. And so looking at getting firms to help us do Social Security applications for folks. So hopefully they'll be more successful on the front end, so they don't have to do the appeal on the back end. You know, so that's exciting new development. It's very much in the infant stage still, so feel free to reach out, but we don't have a lot of opportunities yet, and we're hoping to develop those over the coming months. And I think that's it right at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody is on here that works with firms, you know, as far as, you know, is that something that they are interested in doing as far as doing apps, or are there other I mean, I think we've worked with paralegal folks to do that in the past. I just didn't know if anybody had any comments about that.
We're doing an application clinic with one of our corporate clients next week. And so, yeah, it'll be my first time doing that. But I think there is an appetite for it. It's been a little bit tricky actually to like get the right number of clients for it. I think it's just harder to predict, how many, like what the need will be on a particular day that you're going to do the clinic. So that's been a little bit of a challenge in planning it. But I think there's definitely an interest, and it's going to involve also paralegals at the bank that we're partnering with. So that's a nice fit for that reason too.
And it's an in-person clinic, or sorry?
We're going to do an in-person training, and then we're going to do it all the submissions virtually and get the client's documents like through email and virtually.
Laura, can I ask what benefit? Is it Social Security or something else?
We're doing one-shot deals and SNAP.
Okay, great. And while Laura is on with me, I'll just give them a big shout out, because they actually have been like an amazing partner with our Unemployed Workers Project and answering hotline calls, and really have made a huge difference in that space.
Thank you. We actually got a nice email from a client from that project with Wells this morning that they won their appeal this morning. And they reached back out to our volunteers, so it was great.
Please share.
I'll shout out to Laura too for Fried Frank's great work on our virtual clinic for housing. Fried Frank attorneys have really helped us out during the clinics, and then even continuing with cases afterwards, which is always a goal of ours. So thank you.
I was thinking of you with the question about the retainer.
Yeah, we could talk
As I
about
jump onto that call right after this.
So Laura is the MVP of the meeting, which is good. We always need one. So thank you for being that person.
I doubt that, but thank you.
No, it's good. It's nice to see folks working together across programs. I mean, I think we got to stick together. So thank you. All right. We have 3 minutes. Is there any other updates anybody wants to share? Any questions, any issues? We're probably going to have another one of these in the fall, but if you have ideas for different speakers or programs that you want to discuss, or questions or issues you think we should delve into, please let me know. I'm trying to convince another person to join as a co-convener, so I'll keep you posted on that as well. Hopefully we can get some downstate presence in the convening. And yeah, anything else anybody wanted to share? Pauline, you unmuted, so I don't know if you're...
Sure. Is there any way to get a list of the attendees today, just so we have contact information for folks if we wanted to do any collaboration?
So that's a Eunice question, but I think there's the listserv that we have available, but I'm not sure if we can give a list.
Is that through the Pro Bono Net website?
So it's through the New York State Bar website.
Okay, so New York State. Okay.
But you don't have to be a
That
member.
would be through the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, or you could always drop it in the chat right now and feel free to chat or chat each other.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but that's the way we can.
Perfect. Got it.
Yeah. And luckily the bar can help us coordinate all of these meetings and everything. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think this was great. I really appreciate all of you staying and participating. And, it's just, I always walk away from these meetings knowing that there's other folks out there doing pro bono and that we can connect with each other and fight the good fight together. So I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.